Some people online have been saying you don't have to warm your car up. Warm your car up. What is up, everybody? David here for another vloggity vlog, and I hope that every single one of you is having a wonderful day. And here in Richmond, Virginia, it is kind of chilly. It's 28 degrees, and I know that all of my wintry North Canadian viewers are laughing at me because you think that 28 degrees is probably not that cold, but I'm a wimp. So let's get on with today's topic. So I was thinking about it the other day, how, you know, I make one video after another, just one after another, and this is now my career. But when I was younger, I wanted to be completely different things. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up, or where I am at my point now? I'm 24 years old, and when I think about it, I am not anywhere where I expected myself to be as a child. And the reason I want to talk about this is because a lot of people in high school, and especially going into college, still don't really know what they want to do with their life. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. I for sure went through so many different things before I finally settled down and picked the very unorthodox career as a YouTuber. I'm going to give you kind of a Spark Notes history on little David and what he wanted to be when he grew up. So let's rewind all the way back to age 3. Back in the 90s, something that was really popular is that children, including myself, could have these food trays and they just folded out underneath of it. It was just like a metal plate and a food tray. And with this food tray, mine had a certain thing on top of it. And what was that? It was a dinosaur. So when I was 3 years old and I received this kind of food tray, or whatever it was, I looked at that and I go, wow, that's a really awesome animal. How come I've never seen that before? And unfortunately, my parents had to break it to me that, yeah, they're all dead. So they had to break that bad news to me, but at the same time, I was fascinated. I was like, wow, these creatures were here? You know, 65 million years ago? That just blew my mind. So as I got older and older, I realized that I wanted to be what's called a paleontologist. A paleontologist is somebody who researches things of the prehistoric nature, mostly wildlife like dinosaurs and also things from, say, the Ice Age, saber-toothed tiger, what have you. And what you do as a paleontologist is you find the evidence, essentially, of these life forms and organisms. And that blew my mind thinking about, because you imagine just digging up one day and bam, there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull just chilling there. Oh, yeah, no big deal, just a 7-ton animal used to be here, but you know, it's fine. My mom was so good to me about it and how much I loved it. There's a Maserati Gran Turismo, hold on. Right there. Okay, so anyway, so my mom got me this program for Windows 98 that essentially quizzed you on all the names and all the types of dinosaurs that existed. So I knew literally every mainstream and some unmainstream dinosaurs and or life forms of each period. Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, all that good stuff. I was like a little library of knowledge, because even during our book fairs in elementary school and every time I went to the library, the first thing I would do would get a dinosaur book every time. Here's David, obsessed with these ridiculously awesome creatures, and I'm like, you know what? I'm set. This is what I want to do when I'm old. I know. But here's the connection. When I was 8 years old, I had the Jurassic Park VHS tape, and the VHS tape was run so many times that I basically broke it. And one day, I accidentally put in the behind-the-scenes tape of how they made Jurassic Park. I was kind of sad. I was like, oh no, I put in the wrong tape. But then I got drawn in. And when I got drawn in, I realized how much skill, how much creativity, all these hurdles that these crew members had to create these animals come to life on screen. And all these special effects and the production, and not only that, but I also love dinosaurs. So it was a perfect kind of mixture. I was like, wait, do I want to make movies now? Like, what? Where did this come from? God, I'm so fascinated by this. But, you know, I just kind of brushed it off and stuck with the whole paleontology mindset. The same year, when I was 8 years old, second grade was happening. And Mrs. Shunder, I don't expect you to be watching this, but, you know, if you're watching this, you're pretty about it. So on the first day of school, she announced her schedule for the year. And she was like, okay, in the springtime, we're gonna learn about dinosaurs. And I lost it. I was like, yes. I was like somebody at a midnight release, like sleeping outside a tent. That was the mindset. I was like, springtime, please hurry up. Springtime comes along. The first day, we're learning about dinosaurs. She gets up to the chalkboard and writes one word, Diplodocus. Diplodocus was on record the longest land mammal pretty much ever. It was the longest dinosaur. It had a long neck and a very long tail, so it was the longest of that kind of dinosaur and herbivore. So she writes it down and she goes, guys, this is a, and she couldn't pronounce it. She goes, this is a Diplodocus. And with my bowl cut 90s hair, I raised my hand. I said, Mrs. Shunder, I think you're saying it wrong. So this little 8-year-old was like accidentally, not in a mean way, just like calling out the teacher. And she goes, well, how do you say it then? I go, Diplodocus. She goes, oh. So then on, whenever she tried to do a new lesson, she always came to me and asked, David, how do you say this one just so I can say it for the class? So I was almost like the inside scoop. I knew everything from Gallimimus to Quetzalcoatlus. I knew all the kinds of species. That was kind of another way to show my passion for that. Well, age 13 comes along and I start really looking into it. I really go, okay, if I'm going to do this, how am I going to go about doing it? What university do I need to go to, etc. The more I looked into it though, the more I realized it wasn't for me. The reason I say that is I am not a very analytical person. I'm a very right brain creation kind of dude, more art, if that makes sense. So it's one thing to know the history and factual things about, say, dinosaurs, and then also dig them up. And so to dig them up, you had to know, all the different kind of measurements and all these calculations, and I was just like, nah. So I was kind of upset that I really realized it wasn't what I was meant to do. Age 14 comes along, and I was just like, what about the movie thing? How hard is it to make a video? So when I was 14, I got a camera for Christmas. I had Windows Movie Maker, which if you think Movie Maker is bad now, holy crap, how it was so bad. It crashed all the time. And as you guys know, to put footage into a computer, you had to plug it in and play the tape all the way through, and you captured it frame by frame. Now it's just, you drop a file. So it was very different back then to learn all these little ins and outs. So I taught myself how to edit around 14, taught myself how to do more special effects and that sort of thing when I was 15, and I was doing videos every single day after school for a little while, and my friends couldn't keep up. They just didn't want to do it anymore. They thought it was too much and I was too obsessed with it. I did that almost as a hobby, and it was fun, and to show my friends my work, if it lit up their face, that was my goal. And bringing joy to people was awesome through such a creation medium that's so out of nothing. But basically, after that was kind of my main goal. But later in life, I realized, well, what if that doesn't work out? What do I do then? And you're not gonna believe it, but I, in senior year of high school, at Chesterfield Technical Center, joined criminal justice. I was actually thinking about studying law, and I was also thinking about being somewhere in the criminal justice system, whether becoming a police officer, a detective, any of that sort of thing. But at this technical center, you did a lot of hands-on stuff. You saw firsthand what it was like to be a police officer, and you learned about these things. We went to a SWAT demonstration where somebody threw a flashbang and I accidentally looked at it, whole 9 yards. But the more and more I learned about it, the more I respected the police force, and the more I realized I couldn't do it. So then I was like, you know what? Film, that's what I want to do. But at the time I was dating somebody, and I was like, well, do I want to go to film school somewhere abroad, like out in California or something like that, or should I try and stay in Richmond for at least a little bit to spend more time with my then girlfriend? Well, it wasn't a good idea because we ended up breaking up like 3 weeks later, so that was a mistake. So I ended up transferring 1 semester later. So that's when I went to Virginia Beach, and that's when I went to film school. So with film school, as I worked some of these sets, the more I realized even this wasn't for me. And I was really stressing about it. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? But then during my downtime, during my study downtime, I would watch a certain website called YouTube. And this was right around the era where channels like Freddie W, now Rocket Jump, Ray William Johnson, Philip DeFranco, all of these channels that I watch a lot now, they were blowing up, and I realized that you could do it as a full-time gig. And I realized I could really apply my skills to, this. I was like, it's very unorthodox, but the future in video is streaming, and I know it. So that was my mindset. So now I am a YouTuber. Was it very hard to get here? Yes. Am I done? Not even close. I'm gonna do this as long as I can. But I just wanted to give some peace of mind to other people on this channel that you're not alone. You're gonna find something that you're really good at, and you're gonna chase after it, and you're gonna do great, I promise. So with that closing statement, here's the question of the day. If you are a child and you're younger, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or the alternative is, if you are my age or around my age, what did you want to be when you were younger? What did you want to do when you grew up? And with that, guys, I appreciate every single one of you watching this video. All of my social media, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Twitch streams, and my t-shirts are located in the description below. And I will see you guys next time, and take it easy. Vlog-a-vlog.